Let's talk about New South Wales politics, where insiders on the Labor Party have been trying to skewer their leader, Jodi McKay. She decided to come out hard against union officials who were using union members' money to try to run polling against her.
The fact is that this was a secret poll that was commissioned by Daniel Walton and Gerard Hayes, and obviously they didn't support me during the leadership ballot, a democratic ballot, the first in New South Wales by our party members, and this is about their attempt to, coward punch me from behind. So I'm on the mat, but straight out of the Eddie Obeid and Joe Tripodi playbook. But I fought them, and I'll fight these two as well.
Now, I will give this lady credit for the pivot, right, Mark? That is a sensational pivot, right? Which is, I'm the victim rather than I'm leading us towards inevitable defeat, right? Because here's the deal. Any state opposition anywhere in the country is headed for a defeat. As we saw in Western Australia, Queensland, Northern Territory, the ACT, we'll see it everywhere else, which is, thank you for keeping us safe. Here's my vote, here's my vote, here's my vote. So what did you think of the Jodi McKay coward punch victim defence?
Well, it's remarkable language. The two union officials who commissioned a poll and gave it to the Channel 9 newspapers are now being compared to convicted corrupt guy Eddie Obeid and his offsider Joe Tripodi. I mean, talk about exaggeration. But the truth about Jodi McKay is that she's been very lucky for 12 months. Nobody's put a poll out there because her position would be dreadful. And it's dreadful for two reasons. It's the advantages of incumbency that governments have in this COVID period, but also Jodi McKay has been incapable, utterly incapable to say or fight for anything that resonates out there in the suburbs and regions. You said a Middle Australia family in country New South Wales or in the suburbs or Newcastle and the Illawarra. What is Jodi McKay doing fighting for you that will be beneficial for your family in the future? Education, health, transport, cost of living, any of these, employment security, which she really doesn't talk about, doesn't fight for mining and manufacturing. Well, they'd be speechless. They wouldn't have anything there. So that lack of identity, that lack of being known for anything, the most fight she's shown was today trying to fit these blokes up as Obeid and Tripodi and talking about the coward's punch.
Do you think the WA Liberal result, that if they had issued every policy that was the exact opposite of the one that they put, the result still is the same? Or do you think that energy and the extremes of the energy policy made the bad loss worse in WA, Mark?
Well, again, there's a comparison there to New South Wales Labor, because there's no doubt that these Liberal oppositions in Queensland, Victoria, WA, who sort of go light green, well, why would anyone vote for the Liberal Party if they're light green, 100% renewables? Because you think, well, Labor and the Greens will do that better. So there's a failing of political identity and purpose for Liberal oppositions. But WA is instructive, because when that zany guy Kirkup said, I'm going to close down the coal-fired generators and go 100% renewable, Mark McGowan's response was to say, that's a recipe for blackouts and soaring power prices. You can't do that in any responsible way. You'll close down the existing power system before you create the new one. Blackouts are inevitable. The prices go through the roof. Why wasn't that New South Wales Labor's response when Matt Keane, here in this parliament just months ago, went 100% renewable? And we've got a letter now from AEMO saying we're going to have the early closure of the New South Wales generators. So there's New South Wales Labor agreeing with the zany Matt Keane policy. In WA, at least McGowan had the sense to call it out realistically for what it was. So again, Jodi McKay not fighting for things that make sense.